So I was thinking about something that I had heard a long time ago about how the scientific method actually came from the Bible, and I wish that I could remember the source. But something about the scientific method coming from Bible-believing Christians. And pretty much everything that we know about science today, and law too, but that's a whole nother thing that we'll get to. But just the way that science operates and scientific method, and the fact that we have certain measures in place and to measure whether something is true or accurate, and peer review studies, and just the whole thing is really a biblical foundation, and people take that for granted. People take a lot of the stuff that Christians and Christianity has established for granted. I think because, if I were to speculate, I would say deep down it's because, Christian faith, the Christian faith is the faith of the one true God, and the one true God is the one that created everybody. Then naturally, everything that He outlines for us to be and do is going to be the most natural on some level, to the point of unconsciousness. So even something as simple as the scientific method, or even hospitals, the law system that we have in place, just having things like deliberate injustice to a person just being something that is not allowed. We take for granted these really, really basic ideas that are not necessarily, they don't have to be in every culture. And I think what people do is they say, when there's a Christian belief, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and people go, oh yeah, well yeah, of course, why, who would do anything different than that? And yeah, obviously, it's not obvious. These things have to be shown to us because we are blinded by the world that we're in. Not only that, but we have a sin nature that the Bible outlines. I was going to say this in something else, but I guess I'll be combining these two ideas. But I watched that little Scientology documentary, and in it they were talking about how they would go, I guess, kind of like a door-to-door witnessing thing, similar to Jehovah's Witness, basically canvass an area. And I forget what they called that, but they were particularly designated. And while they were doing that, because they would do it for hours and hours and hours, and so they would have people watching their children while they did this. One of the ladies on there, she was talking about when she decided to leave, and it was when she went to the little daycare thing, and she saw that her child was malnourished, completely disheveled and not taken care of, and just basically all the kids in there were just in this awful state. And she just said she felt really guilty for putting her child through that, and wanted to leave at that point. When I watched it, I thought, people take for granted that they're just going to be able to do these philanthropic things. A lot of these things that did originate with the Christian faith, because the Christian faith singularly raised the value of human life. That's the whole point of the gospel. That's not just some flowery thing that you tell people and then really find out your religion is about something else entirely. Cough, cough, Islam. No, the whole reason that it exists is because you go out into the world and preach the gospel at your own peril up unto death. And you do that because you want to, because every soul is valuable to God. That's the basis of the gospel, is the value of God, of a soul being more valuable than anything in the world. So, your possessions, your riches, your status, none of that matters. And equally, you being poor, you being disenfranchised, you being of this race or this class or whatever, doesn't matter. what is valuable is the life itself. So that philosophy did not exist in the universe without God also being the catalyst for that. That's not something that we stumble upon. So, and then I think, when people latch on to that idea, and of course, we're kind of entrenched in it because I won't say that America is necessarily a Christian nation. I used to say that. But we had a whole heck of a lot of Christians in the nation, and they influenced how this nation ran. And so you may not have grown up as a Christian, but grew up in this nation believing certain things because of those Christian beliefs. And one of those things is that you believe that human life is valuable. But we think that, just because we agree with that, and that we kind of stand on the shoulders of someone else's revelation, that we can then carry those beliefs out with the same passion. And what this lady found out is that that's not possible. They didn't have it in them, because God's philosophy and God's beliefs, they have to be revealed to us. And they have to be put inside of us for us to carry them out. That's not me being weird and like saying, well, you can't do this unless you're a Christian, but you can't really do it unless you're a Christian. I mean, God has to give you His Spirit, and you're not going to get it unless you're saved. So to get that love for strangers and love for people who hate you, and to be able to sacrifice your life for somebody, and have that come from the deep part of you when there's a crisis, and the first thing you do is shield somebody with your whole body. Not to say that the only people that do that is Christians. I mean, I don't know. I know I can't say that because I can't verify that, can't qualify that. But I know that we take for granted that everybody can do something like that, and not everybody can. Something as simple as daycare. I think this lady found out the hard way that people just don't come with that hardware in them. That has to be put in them with a right belief system, with a right spirit, which is the unsung thing here. I mean, we have philosophies all day, but when you go to do that thing that you have to do, and it's either there or it's not, that is a spiritual issue. That has nothing to do with our mind and what we've agreed to. That is when the spirit kicks in. So, you have some people that say, I gotta get up and say something about this. I can't let this stand, or I'm too paralyzed to move. Either way, those are spiritual things. They're heart issues. So anyway, back to the scientific method. I was just thinking, another thing that stands out about the gospel is, I'm pretty sure it's the only quote-unquote religious system, belief system, whatever, that actively has the scientific method as a part of it. Meaning, there's lots and lots of passages that have this spirit of, look, test this out and see if it's right. And do that about everything. That's another thing I think people take for granted. I mean, there's nothing in the Bible. There's nothing that's like, don't question the great God, and you dare question the one who runs the universe. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but that's only when you're asking God about something that you have no idea what you're talking about. Things that are unavailable to us and unseen, things in heavens that are His decisions. But as far as our own lives and everything that happens here, and everything that it's almost like God kind of like respects this territory, because yes, He can be very excuse me, like with Job and a couple other passages where He's not rude, but with Job He was a little forceful about it, like, excuse me, who are you, and where were you when I did this and that and the other thing, and like, do you know where the lightning is stored, and like all of this stuff. But for the most part, He'll just say, it's not for you to know that. You can't know that. That's not, that's for me to know or for you to find out kind of thing. And that's always when we're asking him about his, place, about heaven, about heavenly things. And when it comes to earth, he's like, look, ask me to do this. Test me in this. He literally uses those words, He says he's willing, when it comes to things on earth, he is more than willing to go on the stand as a witness and have you cross-examine, have you judge the situation. He's like, please do that. He wants you to do that. He says, test me and see if I don't open the windows of heaven. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard that scripture. Test everything, hold on to the good. There's just an air of, don't just take somebody's word for it. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses are things established. Like, all of these things that are about, look into a matter because it's the truth. I don't care if you look into it, and I prefer that you do, because not only is he not scared of that, but he knows that there are a litany of deceptive, deceiving spirits out there that want to deter you from what's good and what's real and what's right. So God wants you to work on your discernment abilities. And I don't think that any religion focuses on that. I mean, given that pretty much every religion is a false religion, I'm trying to think of what would be in its place, and I'd imagine it's probably either don't question these great teachings, or these are very complicated matters and you're not going to get them all at once, but the more you study and the higher you'll go. Or what's another one, they might pretend to have kind of this full disclosure thing going on, but in the end it's like, well, yeah, sure, you can investigate this matter. See, look over here or look over there. Turn around. See, you investigated it. Okay, I think that about says it all. It's like, no, you just kind of like pretend like you satisfied somebody's curiosity.
You hungry?
So anyway, that was my thought. And yeah.